Welcome back to the Goku Report, and welcome back for a new box office Versus. This is a special horror themed edition of Versus. In this edition, we are looking at the battle between, arguably, in my opinion, the top two best sort of horror live action adaptation films based on video games. And I will be uploading this on both my main channel, Gokusen DBZ, as well as here. So, with that said, total we look at multiple categories, as I've said before. We look at box office, we look at budget, length, everything, Rotten Tomatoes, Critic, audience scores, we look at Metacritic and IMDb, and then at the end, I give my own personal perspective, in which I personally prefer the most. But with that said, and also, my Silent Hill Revelation review is coming in the next day. So, with that said, first up, we look at the original Resident Evil movie, some of the stuff. First up, of course, like Silent Hill adaptation, both rated R, and that's a good thing. Also, release dates. Resident Evil, the first film, would be released in 2002. Of course, rated R, and it would be an hour and 40 minutes long. It would have a budget of $33 million. And unlike Silent Hill, not quite as loyal to source material, since it revolves around a completely new original character for the movies, unfortunately. And with that said, it definitely has a lot of action, but at least it still has elements of horror, and the music definitely weighs, I think, in favor, at least certain elements, the eeriness factor and everything, from Marilyn Manson doing the music. I think was a smart choice. Now, Silent Hill fans, like myself, are happy that they got the original composer to do the music. Silent Hill, also rated R, it would be released in 2006, 4 years after Resident Evil. It would be an 2 hours and 5 minutes, so 25 minutes longer. Um, and it would actually have a bigger budget. It would have a budget of 50 million versus Resident Evil's 33 million. But one good thing about Silent Hill is it didn't rely too much on CG, which has helped. I think it eventually will age better than Resident Evil. Resident Evil film relied a little too much on definitely moments in the film with CGI, unfortunately, which makes it age worse. Next, look at Resident Evil in the next domain, box office. Now, the original Resident Evil movie domestically would make $40,119,709, which would be 39% of its total global take. In total, the original Resident Evil film would make $102,984,862. Now, on the other side, Silent Hill would do domestically $46,982,632. It would end up doing about almost $6 million more dollars than Resident Evil domestically, and domestic would make up 46.7%. Worldwide, however, Resident Evil just barely outdoes Silent Hill. Silent Hill would do worldwide $100,605,135. Now, it might seem okayish, but keep in mind though the budget was 50 million, so it didn't really make much of a profit, unfortunately. Now, with that said, looking at Rotten Tomatoes next, look at audience and critic scores alike. With the original Resident Evil film, it would do a critic score of 36% on RT, or Rotten Tomatoes rather. Audience score would be 67%, so it would definitely do better. Almost twice as many people enjoyed the film over the critics. 67% isn't too bad. Definitely, there were definitely hardcore Resident Evil fans that despised even the first film. But for me, I still think at least it felt like Resident Evil. Um, Now, on the other side of things, Silent Hill would unfortunately do just a little bit lower score overall. It would have a 32% critic score and a 63% audience score, and kind of surprised me because pretty much anybody I know that has seen both of the films, unless you're like a hardcore Capcom fan or something, which I consider myself one, but nevertheless, I prefer the artistic style of Silent Hill more. But I can see why maybe some people didn't like it as much, like certain elements, like the main parent, instead of being the father looking for his daughter, they chose to switch around the roles with instead mother in the case of the film. That may have made some of the Silent Hill fans mad. Looking at things, but I try to look at things from a more open minded perspective. But with that said, next we look at Metacritic. Metacritic among critics has a 33% on Metacritic for Resident Evil. Not great. It would do a 6.7 out of 10 user score, which actually is not too bad overall. It's about the same as the actual audience score. Now, with Silent Hill, on Metacritic, it would do a 31% critic score. However, the audience score is much more favorable in the hands on Metacritic among normal people. And like I said, Resident Evil did a 6.7 out of 10. Silent Hill actually did a 7.9 out of 10. So 7.9 versus 6.7, pretty decent higher amount of people. I would say relatively more appreciate. So basically almost 8 out of 10 people, at least on among audiences on Metacritic, liked it. And that actually makes a little more sense to me. Last but not least, we look at IMDb. On IMDb for Resident Evil did a 6.7 again, just like on Metacritic, interesting. Now, IMDb wasn't quite as favorable for Silent Hill. It would do a little bit less, unfortunately. It would do a 6.5 out of 10. But with that said, looking at the basic statistics, it would seem that for the most part, Resident Evil barely itches out Silent Hill. Resident Evil does in most of the statistics. Now, my own personal take, quickly before I end this video. For me, Silent Hill is better. I mean, don't get me wrong, Resident Evil first film is good. Heck, I would probably put it in my top 5 favorite live action adaptations based on games. Probably, for me personally though, it would probably be either 5th or possibly 4th place for me. Silent Hill is my number 1 favorite live action adaptation game movie of all time, and I won't see that ever changing. It's good. It's great. Especially, you can really enjoy the eeriness. I did like some of the changes they decided to make in the film. I think that's one of the things that also made some people mad. That they decided to go with about like having the coal mines burning and stuff. Because, fun fact, of course, as you know, Silent Hill is supposed to take place in West Virginia, in a made up county. But in the movie, it's based on actually a story of course, a real town located in Pennsylvania, neighboring state of my home state, with where they estimate the coal mines underneath the town may burn for like another 200 years. It's a very fascinating backstory when you look into the actual town in Pennsylvania. But that would be the inspiration for the live action adaptation of Silent Hill. With that said, at the end of the day, for me, I have to say Silent Hill wins. But that's my own personal opinion. Take that what you will. But with that said, this is a special horror edition. Well, video game slash horror edition. And I'm going to be doing one more box office versus. And I will be uploading that one on Halloween day. It will be a battle of statistics looking back and forth, a battle between The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. So stay tuned for that special edition. And like I said, in the next day, Silent Hill Revelation review will be coming. Look forward to that. And then I'm going to try to have up next weekend the BBC mini series, Supernatural series. So, with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe and hopefully enjoy the Resident Evil 2 police station music in the background from Raccoon City. With that said, I'll see y'all next time. And stay safe out there and have a good, happy Halloween.